Hello, fellow creatives. Welcome back, and thank you for listening to the Our Diner podcast. So it might be weird for our listeners, Rita, to hear us again after a very, very extended period of time.
What do you mean? No time has passed whatsoever.
Right? We never were gone.
We never left. We were always there.
Watching from the shadows. I hope you guys were doing your studies. Basically, right when we started the podcast, we sadly had to do a long hiatus. So, Rita, do you want to elaborate on the reason behind the break?
Listen, we're all adults here. Sometimes it's like talking to my kids. Okay, sometimes life gets in the way and you have responsibilities, Anyways, it's boring. Don't worry, nothing interesting happened. Let's just move on. Unless you want to hear about renovation drama and burnout or something. Well, we can make like a separate episode on burnout because like, ugh.
Right? Yeah, that's a great idea. So, speaking about drama, it's funny you say that your life was boring throughout the hiatus, but it seems like the art world kind of had a lot of like shakeups, which I don't know. For me, it seems that maybe the art world isn't like that dramatic. There's very little times where it actually, becomes like a huge like outrage of artists speaking their mind and going with like pitchforks to like storm something. But I have like a handful of I would say like current ones because it did happen through like the last year. We can say that.
Please elaborate because I have been living in the cave. Okay, I have heard of some of these things, but at the same time, I have no idea and I have no energy to sort of read all these articles. So yeah,
Right.
please.
I'm here for that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
um so firstly, I would like to talk about the like biggest revelation of the social media thing for artists. That would be Instagram.
Oh, let me tell you. Let me tell you something. Sorry for not letting you finish your thought. Because I logged into Instagram after a very long time. God, is it annoying. God, do I hate it.
Yeah.
The ads are just in your face. Like, I forgot how intrusive it is. I forgot how the timeline is so annoying. Like, it's so managed by Instagram. It's in the
Yeah.
algorithm. On Twitter, you can turn it off. You can see like the tweets only from people you follow at the time as they happen. Like Tumblr, Instagram is just anyways, continue. My little rant.
Yeah, so in case for you and maybe some viewers who were also living under a rock for the past year, I can briefly introduce the changes that were coming our way from the algorithm gods.
Are you paid by Meta? Have you been hired by Meta? Zuckerberg
No.
is whispering in your ear. Let me tell you about the new changes to Instagram. Presented by Meta, not Facebook. Sorry.
So, as the CEO had mentioned in his own Twitter post from, I think, last year, I don't remember which one was first, like the post on Twitter or the video but he was basically saying that Instagram will be slowly turning into a video sharing app instead of being an image sharing app. And I think they mentioned that they want to like take on TikTok as a direct competitor. And
YouTube
at
does
first,
that
like
too.
I think people were like, for us, like visual
Yeah.
artists. I think most people were kind of like, okay, like what are you doing, But no one was like that. I would say outraged about it. It was just like kind of disappointing in our perspective as artists.
I think in a way because we've lost so many platforms already. Like,
Right.
I feel like you, as an artist, you already have your little travel bag packed,
Yeah,
to
the
move,
migration bag.
to migrate somewhere else. It's like, Another social media let us down. What a surprise.
I mean, some people I think can approach this like whole thing as like trying something fun and new, and for others, me including, it's probably just another like new thing that we have to adapt to, or like you said, like take the travel bag and and back up and just like leave to another place. If there is another place, sometimes there's like nowhere to go.
But for now, I've seen that people are still posting. Like, it's not that it's fully converted at the moment. So I don't think that people listen. Everybody wants to be TikTok, but it doesn't mean that everybody will become TikTok.
Right, yeah.
We've seen what happened to Tumblr. It's slowly regaining its followers back, but at the same time, who knows? At this point, I've seen people upload art. I will try uploading art again by making a weird social experiment.
On Twitter, I mean Tumblr.
Instagram.
Oh, you're
I think at the moment it is a very interesting experiment for Instagram and for YouTube as well. If you've noticed, they've introduced shorts as well, so you get these shorts in the middle of
Yeah.
like video scrolling. I think everyone is trying.
And they get a lot more views as well. Like I have a
Yeah.
friend who does YouTube, and
Yeah.
she said that they're like super good for exposure.
Like, again, it's all about, if I'm gonna go into whatever meta conspiracies, it's all about shortening our attention span, isn't it? Because TikTok has proved, as evil as it is, how easy it is to consume these kind of videos and how people are more receptive to videos than static images. Yeah. So it doesn't mean but it doesn't mean that we have to convert to video. It's like, oh, I can try something new. Sure, maybe some people will discover their new calling, in this conversion.
Right. That's what I was like saying before as well. Like some people will find it fun, maybe they'll start making animations and stuff. I've saw a YouTuber make a video. Her nickname is mewTripled. She's kind of a big YouTuber, I think, in art. She made a great video talking about this, and like her whole perspective about this thing was that she feels like nowadays there's not much space for us on social media as artists, and I wanted to ask you about it. Is that true?
If we look at sort of all the spaces in the future, the last place we had truly for artists that actually worked was DeviantArt, I suppose, until it became sort of weird. And then we had Tumblr. I think that art only spaces are not meant to work, only because art nowadays is related to so much more than just creating it. That's why I think that spaces like Tumblr or Twitter are superior, because people who consume art, they can share it with artists, and they can sort of make their own blogs where they collect art. And not only art, it can be like, I don't know, gifts, and they can write opinions and share opinions, and art is born from opinions. And all of this perspective just comes from basically being in fandom that I am right now. Suddenly jumped in, sudden change in my life.
Right, that was consuming your life for the longest time now.
No, it's actually only the past 2 months. Actually, it's very recent, very fresh, very new and weird, but it changed the way I view this whole social media art game thing, how you interact with people. It's like I feel like a grandmother who discovered, what young people are into in a way, but also it just shows how this whole communication between new trends and just random thoughts and art happens. Because on Instagram we used to also have basically someone discovers a meme, for example, and usually it's from Twitter. you know, a meme becomes popular, and then everybody is drawing their versions of it, like the Sailor Moon thing, if you remember.
Yeah, somehow it feels like Twitter is like taking all of the different social media platforms and kind of combining it into one. And it has like this news outlet kind of like timeline, I guess, the dashboard, because you're kind of seeing only the relative stuff. So you can really spot the trends like quickly.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Not only can you control, I wasn't paid for by Twitter, by the way, to say all these things, but since I recently
I
moved
don't know
to
about that
Twitter,
now. You're accusing me of
but
being a meta shill and all.
yeah, you're working for the man who will not be named in this podcast. Um, what I want to say is that Twitter, in a way, there's so many things you can follow and interact with on Twitter. Not only artists, but also just people who collect art, or people who just have crazy ideas about certain topics. I follow some people in fandom, not only because they have cool art, but because they just share very crazy ideas, and you just read it and you're like, oh my God, I never thought about this, you know.
What do you mean with like sharing their ideas? Is it like their approach to creative mindsets or stuff?
Again, in fandom, for example, you watch a show and then you go on doing your daily tasks and suddenly you have this idea. What if this character is doing X and Y? And you just write it on Twitter. And people are like, oh my God, I never thought about this. This is crazy.
Okay.
Alternative, it's not only just things you notice in a show, but also it's about alternative universes. We can make a whole fandom episode, which is fandom art is a very interesting topic. Anyway, so you get an idea and then you're like, I want to draw this, or it sparks another idea in your head and you're like, I'm gonna draw that, and it's just this mutual stimulation of creativity. And it is nothing, yeah, and it's just this, I would call it a collective hive mind. I haven't experienced anything like this ever. It's where on Instagram, I have my ideas, and of course, there are people who interact with them. People love your art, it's so good. But it's more lonely in a way because
Yeah.
here,
You're kind of just a presenter of what you have done.
you can build your audience, you can build your universe. It just takes a lot more time and patience, and here you jump into a thing that already has a huge audience and you can fart out the laziest idea and people are like, I get this, I get that,
Mm. It seems nice, but it's sometimes hard. Like for me, it's very hard to get into a fandom. I'm not like that obsessed about a project or topic usually. So
Iveta, I cannot tell you enough how I have no idea how this happened. I would never in my life think that I would be obsessed with any. I was like, fandoms are not for me. Fandoms are for other people. I love doing my original stuff. I love my OCs. I love making my own worlds. I will not explain how this happened. This obsession has no explanation. It just happened. That's it. And I recently divided my Instagram icon into two sides because on Twitter I have two separate accounts. But on Instagram, I'm trying this thing where I'm gonna post everything.
Mhm.
Everything. I sound like a crazy person because my fandom account is absolutely insane. So I'll see how it works. What kind of audience will I collect combining monster art and gay pirates? I'm interested.
Yeah, I've actually seen an image where one artist shared their posts like what is it called when insights, I think, right? When they show like the numbers, how many people have seen it, how many people
Yeah.
have liked and stuff. They screenshotted both of their Twitter insights and Instagrams on the same post, and it's like you cannot compare it. Like Twitter has 3 million people who have seen it and Instagram has 3,000 seen it. The same post, same art. I don't know, the visibility part of it is like super limiting for us. So we literally just have to do reels. the videos on Instagram.
I think I don't know about Instagram now. I don't know if Instagram again is good for like starting artists now, but what I've noticed a year ago when I was still active there is that sometimes people who are on Twitter are a lot less popular than on Instagram, for example. There is a bit of a difference in audience, maybe, and what
Maybe, yeah.
trends. Yeah, like imagine these very generic. I don't know. I don't want to shit on people's art. Like just headshot of a pretty girl, you know. We all do those. Like
Yeah.
I do these all the time. Only my pretty girls are like monster girls, you know. But like I just draw these portraits all the time as well. So yeah, but you can imagine the style in your head, the Instagram pretty girl style, headshot. That's it, you know. And then you have variations of what she's wearing, I guess, the makeup and stuff. These are basically all the draw this in your styles you can think of are basically that. This thing will not go as far on Twitter. I feel like Twitter has become more demanding. Not just demanding, it's
I
just
think they're demanding for creativity and to see something new, which I think like that's a good thing that the audience is pushing me to be more creative because I know I can like be that person who just draws the 3/4 angle of a face, hair changes, makeup changes, but nothing else. Like I can be that person and very quickly and don't realize it, that I'm not actually pushing myself. So I think that part of Twitter I really like. So I actually have decided to like post my art and sketches, like image related content to Twitter, and obviously our station for like more finished works for portfolio stuff.
also, I think that it's very important that fandoms are a lot more active on Twitter. And this adds a lot because even if you're not in fandoms, obviously, you will draw fan art from time to time. This will attract a lot of people to you. And because Twitter is in fandoms, fandoms are incredibly creative when it comes to fan arts. So you do not just draw something that someone has done before. Of course you can, it's fine, but like it becomes maybe on Instagram it's like who's gonna draw the prettiest 3/4 profile of a girl and add the most detail, or like who has anyways in any platform it's like who has the coolest style and whatever. And on Twitter it's that, but also it's like what is the coolest way you can draw this fan art, or this whatever fandom interpretation.
So I'm actually very surprised that you're considering to post on Instagram again. I didn't think people would like people who left. I don't think they're gonna come back, unless Instagram makes a lot of changes.
I see still a lot of people posting there. A lot of people I know who only post on Instagram but not on Twitter, for example.
Yeah, I feel like the ones who are still there are the ones who built like their majority of following there,
Yeah.
and people who may not like their audience may not be, users of Twitter. So for them it's super hard to migrate, and they built like this huge business there, so there's they just have to like adapt and keep going.
Yeah, but like I go to conventions, right? And in conventions, usually people don't ask me for Twitter handles. They ask me for Instagrams. Are you
Really?
on Instagram? Yeah, still. Again, it depends on the country, probably. I was in Riga and still,
So is this the reason you're still considering posting there?
The reason is because I have people who I follow and who follow me, who are cool people, and they're more active on Instagram. And I'm like, there's this portion of audience and just artists I like who are still there. And after the convention, for example, it was quite embarrassing because I was featured in so many stories because people like bought my stuff and they were like, look. And now I have like this whole message center filled with stories that don't no longer exist. Like I cannot,
Mm,
respond to them anymore because a day passed. And I was
yeah.
like, well, damn it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, since I feel like you have to be, as an artist, dip your toes. You don't have to, actually. You can dip your toes everywhere and see what works. So since I haven't been there for a while, I'm gonna try again. And since I have so much satisfaction with Twitter, I don't really care about like, you know what I mean? I don't care about it. I'll just post stuff there. I'll interact, but I'm not gonna worry about not, getting a lot of views. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna
Yeah,
post
yeah.
there right now as a social experiment because I'm so curious to see what kind of audience will I collect combining two sides of my work. This is how much I don't care about Instagram. This is so much I don't care about that account anymore that I could just use it as a sort of playground.
Well, yeah, I guess that's because I mean you're not starting from like scratch. You don't have like 100 followers. You still have like a big amount that took you a longer time to like collect. Grow. I mean, not collect. They're not Pokemon.
It doesn't matter that much unless you have like hundreds of thousands of people who are just waiting for your art. On
Yeah, yeah.
Instagram, you come back as if you've just started, almost as if you've just
That's
started.
true. Yeah. People don't see what you post, even if you
Yeah,
start posting again.
all that hard work doesn't matter. You take a break, that's it. You fell out of the loop. That's the annoying thing about social media that works this way, because Twitter, again, depends on the settings that your followers have set. I only see who I follow. I don't see suggestions or any of that crap, So I can always catch up on things, and hopefully
Mm-hmm.
people can catch up on my stuff as well. Yet again, it depends on your influence, right? Like if people remember you. I came back to Instagram, and certain people, liked my stuff, and I remember these people. Even if I don't follow them,
The
I'm like,
true
yeah,
believers.
yeah, yeah. They're like, she's back.
Yeah, it sometimes feels like when you take a long break. Like I take very long breaks from Instagram, like a year almost. Sometimes I think it's a full year. And when you come back and there's still like a few people who like see your posts and like them, it always feels like you're crawling out of a grave. And the people who are still there praying for you, like to come back, they're still like there with their candles. So that's what it sometimes feels like. But yeah, news story, which actually created more outrage in the art community. Have you heard the news about everyone's beloved Clip Studio Paint?
Yeah, but is it news even at this point? But please, elaborate, enlighten us.
So yeah, sure. For those who are not aware, let me introduce a bit of what the hell I'm talking about. So Clip Studio Paint, it's formerly known as Manga Studio for the people who are really old. It's a digital art program which is made for artists to easily use different tools, and mostly for creating comics, illustration, and I think animation as well. Recently, they made an announcement which people took with a lot of anger. And basically, they just said that they're making a new version of the program, which involves a subscription service, just like Photoshop did back in the day. For me, it's like them, like, it's super sad, but it's also kind of expected. Although I think part of the outrage, in my opinion, is due to like the previous claims of like being and remaining one-time purchase software. So I think that's why people are super angry because they feel like tricked, manipulated, because they grew an audience of their users like that.
I feel like if you see that something works, if you're a corporation, because let's not kid ourselves, you know. Like they also want to make money, and subscriptions are all the rage nowadays, and it's super profitable for them. And seeing the disappointment of people with Photoshop, I don't know if we want to get into the problems with Photoshop. For me, it's
Let's not, like, there's a lot of problems.
yeah. So let's just say, as an alternative, am I still gonna use it?
Let me ask you, do you use it like frequently
I
as
have
your
it.
main program?
I have it. I actually bought it.
Me
No,
too,
I
yeah.
I don't use it at all because I work with Photoshop for work. That's why. And since I don't have like proper a proper work desk, I just work. I just draw everything on my work computer nowadays. So no, but since I want to move to comics, actually I'm considering, start using it again because just the
Mm.
layout and all the tools are there.
For me, I bought it and never used it, but I always wanted to try it because I was like, if like Photoshop dies or if they raise their prices, I'm gonna like migrate. Subscription services in general is kind of predatory. So
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like I've my whole perception of this program, like Clip Studio, is very depressing, maybe. I don't know. I feel kind of discouraged to try it, because I know what's coming in the future and I do not like the changes that they're going to implement in the future. They saw that they got a lot of backlash because on Twitter, everyone was like replying to their tweets, like, stop, what are you
Yeah.
doing? And they wrote more information about the changes. They wrote that they're taking note to our comments, which is I don't know, it's probably the least they could have done. Some people have like a very low bar for companies. Maybe it's like amazing that they're listening to us and taking note.
Yeah, but we need a response, right? It's like, we're taking notes. What does it mean?
Yeah.
Nothing. It means absolutely nothing.
It might mean nothing. It might mean the same as the Sonic movie meant, like they're completely reforming everything.
I don't
But
know.
we don't know now. And they just wrote that a one-time purchase option will remain after second version. It's super confusing with the versions. Like, I'm already confused, and
Yeah, there's like this timeline image.
maybe that's the manipulation thing, right?
I don't know.
In their plans, they have a second version and a third version. So whenever version 3 is gonna come out, they're not gonna make more bug fixes free of charge for
Yeah.
the first version. So the first version is what we have now, like the one-time buy, right? The second version is when they introduce the subscription service, is what I understood from all of this.
Okay. Do you know when is the second version going to be introduced?
I don't think they mentioned it. I don't really know. Oh, actually, I don't know when they're making the second version, but they're saying they're gonna make changes to the purchase of it next year.
Hmm.
It
Well,
might be like next year than version 2. I don't know. Basically, don't trust companies. Just look for programs. If you want some free stuff, just get actual free stuff. So I think for people who don't want to pay at all, Krita is very good. It's
hmm.
still free, and
Have you tried it?
no, but I've seen my students tried it, and
Okay.
they gave me their computers to see it. It looked a lot like Photoshop. I think it looked more like Procreate, to
Hmm.
be honest. I think they even made a post saying that they're gonna remain free, So- just because of the outrage on
Yeah.
Clip Studio nowadays.
It's really complicated. It's a whole different topic about how programs and operational systems like Linux remain free because, again, making software, maintaining software, it does cost,
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
true.
So I understand the incentives, and I think I want to look and see where it goes. For now, I'm not using Clip Studio. I will start using it, and I'll just keep using it until, I will feel like it's not a viable option anymore. But for now, my work pays for my Photoshop, so I don't have to worry about it. you know.
I pay for mine myself because I'm a
Oh,
freelancer.
okay, okay. So there you go.
Yeah.
So I'll just use it until. Uh, that works, and then we shall see. I think it's the same with social media. In anything right now, if you look at our current climate, political and economical, there are a lot of changes, so we just have to be flexible. And it's very
Yeah,
annoying. You just want to settle down on a website or a program or
you want
a
to get
job.
comfortable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but nowadays I feel like this year, next year, so, I have this, I think it's a meme of like, I want to read about, historical events. I don't want to live through historical events,
Yeah,
but we,
that's true.
we kind of have to now. So
We can look at it from like a happy point of view, like it's pushing us out of our comfort zone, so it is good in a way.
at the end of the day, if you're disappointed in social media, no, sorry, in art supplies, art programs, they're art supplies. They're your good old pencils and stuff. And just go back to traditional.
No,
It's really
no, it's
hard.
not.
I
It's
know.
not the same.
It's not the same. I know.
there's no.
Like,
There's no Control Z.
it's really hard. Especially when you find like a tool that really works for you and you're like, I like this.
Yeah, you want to keep going with it, but then they become corporate.
Hey, at least Clip Studio, you can export Photoshop brushes. Sorry, import Photoshop brushes into Clip
I think
Studio.
soon we're gonna have like a third type of program that we're gonna use instead of like making art with art supplies traditionally, making them digitally in Photoshop. We're gonna probably just be like typing in keywords with AI, which is actually the next topic that I wanted to talk about. I've been to a virtual live discussion organized by Concept Art Association and Karla Ortiz. Sorry if I mispronounce her last name, who's like super into this topic at the moment. Like everything she writes about now is like concerning AI. It was the NFTs before, but now I feel like most of her thoughts goes out to this subject, which is super cool, I think, because it is about, the near future of art. So it is like a very serious and important topic. And yeah, I was really excited among all the artists to see Craig Mullins was also invited into the discussion. He's like super famous artist
He's
who,
like the concept artist. Like,
yeah, yeah. It's one of the first ones, one of the best ones. I guess most successful would be also
yeah.
a great description, but sadly, he barely shared any of his points. So I was a bit, taken aback by that because I was really interested in what he had to say. He was one of the first artists to take on digital painting, because back then it was super new as well. But he was the one to try it out. So now with AI is also his whole ideology about this is also kind of like join them. He wanted us artists to ask ourselves what is the reason behind us wanting to opt out if we're like against it. And said maybe like it's money, we're losing on money. Maybe it's just a defensive reaction that's coming from like receiving an upcoming threat, which I thought was good ideas, but I'm still with the side of people who are for having the option to either opt in or out of the AI databases.
So what is his so he's pro AI, yes?
I wouldn't say like I don't think the whole discussion was about being pro or against AI. I feel like it wouldn't even matter now because it is gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's like currently happening. I think people are just kind of doing like damage control at this point. Like having discussions like these to show that us artists are really concerned about it, about the companies that are making AI because they're controlling the databases, they are controlling how they're selling the copyrights. Now it's like super gray area. Nothing is like in legal terms at the moment.
Yeah.
So I feel like these discussions are very cool, very important.
It feels like the same as with NFTs. where there are no legal terms, very
Yeah,
fresh,
yeah.
very new. These discussions are important, but at the same time, yeah, you can put together like these very known artists, but they know as much as we do.
Mm-hmm.
At this,
True, yeah.
none of
I do
us,
feel like they
yeah.
have more experience though with
Yeah,
this.
with what? With
So
AI?
with living through changes in our industry, they had to live through, like Craig Muller has lived through just basically the creation of digital art in general. Then he had to live through like all of the 3D craze, because I remember it was also a big thing when 3D was like becoming popular in like making illustrations, like 2D stuff.
Yeah.
And people were like, "Oh no, no, it's cheating." And then it kind of became like a thing that companies ask for as like an additional bonus if you know 3D. Now people are just like painting less and using more 3D even, and it's going into concept art, and everyone's happy. There's like a whole separate branch of artists, for that. So they were living through all of these changes. And sometimes when we forget about the past, we kind of expect like the changes in the future are going to be like groundbreaking, but then we like live through them and we're like, oh, it's like almost the same as it was before and stuff. I don't know if it's going to be like that or not.
What I want to say. I remember I was studying 3D, and I lived through that period where after uni, I went back into 2D, and there was this whole panic of 2D artists when they're worried about losing their jobs because now you have to learn 3D. You have to learn 3D.
Yeah.
You won't get a job if you don't know 3D, And I remember this worry as well. Like, do I have to learn 3D? The answer is no, you don't. Does it, help you make things faster, better? Like, maybe. Again, depends on what you do, depends on what you draw. If you're a concept artist, for film and stuff, and you do photo bashing anyways, then yeah, probably it helps you out. If you're an illustrator, sure, for reference, maybe it can help you out,
Yeah,
but
definitely you can create your own like lighting reference.
you don't have to. You don't have to. Now, let me tell you don't have to
Yeah,
know
it
this
just
thing.
makes it easy.
And also, at the end of the day, if you're good at your skill, no matter what you do, you will find work. With 3D, it's just a tool. But it's just a tool.
I think people who are, well, artists who are mainly concerned are the ones who are either now getting into art, like
No, I want to say
considering it more serious.
about 3D. You're talking about, or AI?
No, 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 about
AI
AI.
is different. It's completely different because 3D, again, you have your tool and you're the one who manipulates the tool. With AI, you have an additional brain that manipulates your art. This is where it was. I saw a post on Facebook, of all places, because I follow some kind of a channel that posts about art news, and an AI won an art contest.
Yeah, I saw that. I
So
saw people on Twitter were analyzing it.
yeah, so it's a very good question. Who gets the prize? And for me, this analogy, it's like, do you know these beauty pageants that, like these toddler beauty pageants or the dog beauty pageants? You have your
Yeah.
child or your dog, and they do all the work. And the mom collects the money. So here it's yeah, the mom is gonna train you. The mom will buy you the clothes. The mom is gonna wake you up 6 in the morning to do your routines, train and everything, but you're the one who's doing the work. So same here, it's like yeah, the artist is gonna input some phrases. They're gonna tell maybe select a library of images to use from, beep boop bop, an image appears. So the artist is gonna collect the paycheck, and AI is the one who did the work. So it's the whole artificial intelligence kind of question.
I don't know. I feel like it's just the same as using 3D. It's just a tool because there's no actual brain who like makes up the image. It's just a program that creates images in a mishmash type of way, you know? And yeah, it's a lot more complicated, but it's not like you commission another artist to do this.
It's not like 3D. I like in 3D you have
No,
a cube.
I meant like it's like 3D as it is just a tool that we are using, artists are using to create artwork. So it's the same as like me opening Photoshop, but instead of me drawing it, I would have to write keywords in. So it is just a program that you use to make art, is what I'm getting at. That's my um thought of it.
It is a different thing. Because
But I was very like interested in the comments that people were writing. And actually, one comment was very up the alley that we're talking
mhm.
about. And they wrote that comparing previous job shifts, like, moving to digital art from traditional, um, due to technological advancements, isn't correct in this case, since the job shift is going to be like so drastic. Because if we go from drawing and painting a piece to writing down keywords and prompts, into the computer, it might not be what we originally wanted to do. Like the whole activity becomes like something else, and we would just abandon it, without pursuing the future or become the artist. So I feel like this is more true to what I wanted to say. We are using it as a program, but we're gonna do a different activity, and it's not actually like creating the art as we are used to now. So it might be a big turnoff for a lot of artists.
uh, there was a lot of statements you made there.
Yeah, sorry.
I
I
just
I
want to
mean, it's just
say,
such a deep
I just want
topic.
to say that it is not like it's completely different from drawing 3D and everything else. It's not just a tool. You can use it as just as these things, but how it is used right now, if it's winning competitions and stuff by just I've seen like things that are just rendered from prompts, and you can present it as a piece, as a separate piece of its own that was randomly generated by this machine. So to say that again, this machine is, it's not the same as the human brain, yes, of course not, but it's a very simplistic version of a human brain, because by
Right.
code you can train the machine to behave in certain ways, to select certain things, just like you train an artist to have a certain style, for example.
Yeah, but look at how it is now. Like, have you tried the AI programs?
Yeah, but what the point I want to make, if we're looking into the future, I'm just trying to do a rebuttal to all these 10 things that you just said. So on this topic, it is not just a tool. It's not just another program that you use to create art. It's something completely different, I think. It's like let's just say it's a bit similar to when stock photos entered the market. You had photographer. You used to have like hire photographers to do your photos. Nowadays, you have a pool of photos from stock photos, and you basically cut the middleman. You just get your photos. So what this gives you is in a way, stock photos are a genre of its own, right? People use them, but they're devoid of life and creativity in a way. So this is a feeling I have about AI art right now, is that it all looks the same. Yes, again, as I said,
For
in the
now,
future, the programs will become more and more creative, but
definitely.
this is where, and more advanced, but this is where the point that you made is very important, which goes back to the super ancient and archaic things about us humans, and why 2D animation or just drawing on paper or just reading books I think will never go out of fashion, because unless we completely move ourselves into the metaverse or whatever it's called, the reason why there are a lot of digitized things, right? And we use them and stuff. And unless we move deeply into the metaverse where the whole life is online, basically, we're touching grass online. There is no difference between touching grass in real life and online. We may move into this there's actually, if we're going deep into philosophy and stuff, people actually compare it to this move into the metaverse, compare it to move to enlightenment in a way where our brain will be able to create anything and become anything, and simultaneously we become everything. Unless we go that deep into the metaverse, we will still crave human things. And by human things, I mean human touch, touch of paper, smell of paint, whatever turns you on, the act of drawing, the act of
Right.
producing work. And this is a point that you've made when that person mentioned that, maybe if I understood it correctly, that yes, when it comes to corporate things, a corporation will want to produce art as fast as possible and for consumer to consume as fast as possible. But if you notice right now, there are two different lanes. There are the lane of super fast production, massive consumerism. We're at peak of capitalism in America, at least. But there's also the other lane where people are coming back to spirituality, for example, trying to slow down their lives. There are riots right now. People are becoming more tired and depressed. Work efficiency in certain places is going downwards because people are so done with whatever is happening.
Yeah, I think it's something you can see through history. Like, there's people who are doing one thing, and then there's the other group of people who are protesting it.
Yes. So basically, you have these two lanes right now, like super digitized, super sort of, and a different lane that is going back to, wants to,
Traditional art.
not just traditional art, just to feel human again. You know what I mean? Just to, I'm saying it in lame terms of like touching grass. You're so out there in social media, you forget how to talk to people properly. You forget that in order to feel good, you just need to sleep better. You just need to go out and walk. Because again, unless we move our consciousness into the metaverse, we still have these human back bodies, that have existed for millions of years, that need certain sensory responses, that need food, that need action.
Sure, but it might be very discouraging for artists to be up against, the machine who can create a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so economically, as I said, there is this disadvantage of like corporations are gonna jump onto a thing that is cheaper, obviously, and will produce more.
Yeah, definitely. And the corporations pay you money to live off, so that's why people are very concerned, especially people who are starting out right now, because their level is not gonna improve as quickly as the program will.
But as there's rise in, let's take Disney and Marvel, and they're making a ton of money. But let's take Patreon as an example, where people are making their own content and people are being supported by other people who are tired of corporate bullshit, who are tired of corporate mass-produced art, basically, and who want to support, independent artists and stuff.
Right, yeah.
So I feel like, again, AI is super concerning for me. I don't know if it's because of the natural being afraid of the new kind of thing, But at the same time, same with NFTs. These apes were everywhere recently. These apes were all over the place, and
I
suddenly
think there still are, but now as memes.
memes, and they went back into like less mainstream. You know, they're not cool anymore. Basically, I'm sure people are still trading NFTs. It's still happening, but it's not as crazy. It's more. The apes are more underground again. I feel like again. I'm not an expert. We would need to have an NFT ape expert to explain what the hell is going on with these apes.
Right, yeah.
So on one hand, you have the unknown and the me being scared of the unknown. On the other hand, as like maybe Craig Mullins, I'm not a Craig Mullins. I'm not even as old or experienced as he is. I did live through some of these changes, and I do see the fact that one thing remains as of yet, and it's our creativity, you know, and it's our originality and it's our humanity that still exists. I don't know how fast AI is going to develop. I don't know what's going to happen.
Hopefully it's gonna crash and burn.
Let's not focus on the future too much. You know, going back to like philosophy, let's as artists, we need to listen to the news, but at the same time, we need to switch off the news and live the life that we have right now and enjoy, you know, the process of art.
Right. That's very healthy for our very sensitive brains.
Because nobody knows. Not a single. The person who will not be named, the meta person, I'll call him that.
Obviously, no one knows what's gonna happen, but these discussions are primarily for raising the question about why currently there's no option for us artists, you know, to opt in or out when the majority of artists are for the, you know, for the whole side of like, maybe I don't want to give my art, you know, to people to use it for their program. So we have to have it, you know, we have to have the copyright written down, you know.
I think legally things will improve for artists because people start chatting, people start demanding, you know, rights and stuff, and we see I think in this case it will feel like Shutterstock 2.0. You know what I mean? Like
I hope so, but I don't think it's gonna.
There will always be, again, I know nothing. We don't know what's going to happen, but let's say in the best case scenario, let's say the best case scenario is that this becomes Shutterstock 2.0. People who want to get a bit of money and put their art in, for example, it's like a service, right? You can put your art in, you can get money from it. And people who want to use it, they're going to use it. People who want to opt out, this perfect world, the copyright will not be. Yeah, so if you no art theft exists, you know. I'm laughing because like it's just gonna be art theft.
It's like we're talking about a utopia, right?
Yeah, so I'm talking about utopia, you know. So, and also in this utopian reality, people are gonna make art with AI, and people are gonna say, "Yay, I love your AI art," and people are gonna make their own art. People are gonna be, "Yay, I prefer your art," and they're gonna be just two markets. They're gonna coexist, and
let's hope that it's gonna happen.
But I don't know.
For those who want to hear like the whole, because it's a very interesting discussion that happened. It is up on YouTube, so I don't know. Maybe we will link it probably in the description of our video. But it's up there. You can listen to it. You can follow Karla Ortiz on Twitter. I'm sure this is not like the last discussion that's gonna happen.
No.
So if you want to be a part of those, you can go ahead and do that. And is there anything you want to talk about, Rita?
I just want to add another thing about the AI. I'm just thinking, you know how kids who are just born right now, in 10 years, 20 years, they will have a completely different understanding of reality and life. These worries that we have right now, you know, maybe in 100 years, people are gonna read about traditional art and be like, wow, that's weird. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
in a sense, people who are going through these changes, we're gonna go through the most pain. But people, the future people, won't care at all if the art is gonna be drawn by AI or not AI. They will not know the experience of making art a different way. You
Yeah.
know, they will look at museums, look at their tablets, and be like, "Ah, what is this archaic, weird plastic thing?" You
Yeah.
know, you didn't make art with your mind.
Hippies are gonna try making art,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
us trying traditional art now.
Can you imagine, like, you'll imagine anything with your mind and it'll just appear. And people are like, what, you had to like draw things? This is so
For
weird.
years, we had to practice fundamentals.
We had icky, disgusting human bodies. Like, well, that's gnarly. You know what I mean? Yeah, focus on the present. Be grateful for what you have because you never know. I'm gonna on a dark note. You never know when you're gonna die.
Oh my god. That's motivating.
We can stress and be anxious about the future all we want, but we really need to focus on what we have in the present as much as possible. Planning is good.
Yeah, just like basically enjoying the moment.
Yeah, planning is good. Planning is good, but don't forget about now as well, because you never know when it's your last day of like drawing your weird fan art, you know? Enjoy drawing your weird fan arts.
The gay pirates.
The gay pirates. Watch Our Flag Means Death. I don't know what to say.
I swear to God, they're paying to you to recruit
I
new
wish
people.
they would. I wish they would pay me. I would be their number one recruit. Iveta, watch the pirates. You're watching some lame shit right now. What are you watching?
Yeah, I've just finished watching the Selling the OC on Netflix, and every time I watch those shows, I'm like, wow, like this is so like a different world.
Yeah.
But then after it, I'm like, I could have watched something better.
Like the pirates. Please.
Yeah, maybe like the pirates.
Like, if you want to understand my love and suffering on a deep level, you have to watch it. And even then you won't understand, because once you get deep into fandoms, like, it becomes super meta. Like,
Right. So yeah, guys, just don't forget you're gonna die, according to Rita.
Yes.
And I think that's it for us today. It's been nice talking to you, Rita, and it's a pleasure to be back on podcasting again. It's very nice to like have these sort of therapy sessions with you. For me, I will treat it as therapy. There was one question I asked on Twitter, um, and one person replied
One
with
person. I love them. Our number one.
shout out to the one person who asked the question for our podcast. And we can say it very quickly. So they were asking for tips for wrist health. Do you have any?
Yes, I have.
So let's make it quick and concise.
My tip would be do yoga.
For wrist health?
Yeah.
Is there yoga specifically for wrists?
Just do yoga.
Stretches, right?
No. Not only the yoga is stretch. Your wrists are gonna become power wrists after yoga, you know. Obviously, I'll say tips like, yeah, you need to do breaks, very healthy.
But it's true, you don't have to say it in that tone.
I know,
you do have to do breaks.
That's
what's gonna, help your wrists a lot.
Yeah.
I would say I would say also having the right tablet settings, because some people have them on very very insensitive settings, so they have to press down with the pen on the tablet very hard, and they grip the pen like super intensely, and that can tire your wrist a lot if you're working for a long period of time.
What is wrist problems? Wrist problems is basically when you do the same motion for a long period of time. Same with neck problems. When you just sit around, your neck becomes stiff, you have neck problems. So basically movement. Yeah. If you don't want wrist problems, take breaks, move. I say yoga because it's stretch and power at the same time. That's why I say you get powerful wrists, because you need to balance your whole ass on those tiny wrists of yours. And after that, and as Iveta said,
try it then. Yeah. So those are our tips. Yeah. Thank you for asking. Shout out to that one person again.
if you want to start yoga, please start it with a professional, because you can damage your wrists as well if you just kind of out of the blue just do a very complicated pose and then break your wrists. Please don't contact me or at me or say like, it's Rita's fault, she told me to do this.
Yeah. So again, thanks for listening, and see you guys in the next episode. Bye bye.
Bye bye. In the next episode of our Diner podcast, Iveta tries traditional art. Oh no, it's so hard. I have paint all over the place. Rita's renovation curse gets into her art. I can't stop drawing floor plans. Just every time I draw, it's floor plans. Tune in to our Diner podcast to see how these issues unfold.